A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to welcome you to the 8th episode of the webinar series titled Why Corporate Sector. This webinar is the 21st BSL webinar for the calendar year 2025-2026. This webinar series is organized by the Webinars and Legal Symposium Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the chairman of the Webinars and Legal Symposiums Committee and the president of the BSL, Mr. Rajiv Amarsurya, the co-chairman and the secretary of the BSL, Mr. Chatra Galhena, the treasurer of the BSL, Mr. Pasandu Silva, the conveners and co-conveners, and the members of the Webinars and Legal Symposiums Committee of the BSL. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the executive committee of the BSL for the support and guidance you have and continue to provide us. In today's episode of Why Corporate Sector, we have with us an esteemed guest, Mr. Tejaka Pereira. Mr. Pereira is an attorney at law and holds a Master of Financial Economics and a Bachelor of Science degree in Physical Science from the University of Colombo, a diploma in Intellectual Property Law from Asia Pacific Legal Institute, USA, and Sri Lanka Law College, a diploma in Banking and Insurance Law with a merit from Sri Lanka Law College, and a ACI Dealing Certificate with merit from Financial Markets Association. It is also to be significantly noted that Mr. Pereira also has over 26 years of experience in the field of law, having worked at Julius and Creasy as a professional assistant, at Commercial Bank PLC as a management trainee and executive officer for 4 years, and then joining the DFCC Bank PLC, where he presently holds the position of Vice President, Litigation and Legal Recoveries. I warmly welcome Mr. Tejaka Pereira for today's session. Without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Shehara Hera, who will be the interviewer for today's session, to take over. Over to you, Shehara.
Thank you, Dimarsha. So once again, a warm welcome to all of you for joining in the Why Corporate Sector session today. This is done with the intention of showcasing the opportunities available for legal professionals in the corporate sector. During the past webinars, we were able to cover many aspects of this series where we dived into different sections of the corporate sector, such as hospitality, banking, finance, the apparel sector, so on and so forth. And today we have Mr. Tejaka Pereira, attorney at law, who is the vice president of DFCC Bank. He is no guest at the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. He has been a very active member of the Bar Association, although he's from the corporate sector. So once again, on behalf of the president of the BSL and all its members, we'd like to welcome Mr. Tejaka Pereira for this session. And once again, we would like to invite all the participants to ask any question you have, to post them on the Q&A box, so that at the end of the discussion, we can forward those questions to Mr. Tejaka Pereira. So once again, a warm welcome to you, sir. My first question to you, sir, is that you have been in the corporate sector for a very long time, and you have served in different ranks in the corporate sector. So looking back, after many years, what made you join the corporate sector as a young lawyer? Why did you decide to join the corporate sector as opposed to court practice or any other field?
Well, in my case, personally, I was, as you introduced me, I had many disciplines and many medals by the time I was about 27. And I had a degree on one shoulder and the attorney's qualification on the other. So at Crossroads, first of all, I joined the profession. I was at Julius and Creasy and practicing commercial litigation, and which was very interesting, very motivating. The morning rush, I loved it, and running to court. But then again, people thought the elders whom I knew at that time thought that okay, mathematics and law will banking will bridge the gap between that. So I decided to join the banking sector and joined as a management trainee for a very good institution at that time, commercial bank, where I had the good fortune to traverse through various departments. And, in fact, if I may recall, on the first day of the bank, I sat behind the counter accepting cash. The previous day I was working at Halsdorf, and this was Maradana branch at that particular bank. So there were many lawyers visiting, and so I remember various looks, recognizing me. But having said that, you uh, uh, tend to enjoy that episode in life, you know, and I know most of the youngsters nowadays taking oaths will decide what their future going to be. There were many stories told by very successful practitioners. Uh, I love to read those stories, and there are lesser told stories like mine, where I decided to join the corporate sector, and well, it was an interesting experience. First of all, you learned it was like an MBA in banking, basically the management training program in a commercial bank. It's like an MBA in banking. At Halsdorf, you tend to sort of look at a problem with the perspective of a lawyer, and being a banker, you know what's happening in practice. So you knew what is happening in practice. So the banking cases that I was very briefly introduced to, I knew what was the real uh, practices that are determined the problem, the various contractual obligations, which not limited to law, but banking practices, customs, uniform customs. So it was an interesting experience going through that. So I think I liked it and I hooked on. So that was the brief answer.
Thank you, sir. And I would like to extend that question a bit further. Now, you told us that you joined in, and at first you were behind the cash counters, and then now you're the vice president of the DFCC Bank. Could you just share your story on how you climbed up the corporate ladder so that even young lawyers who are in the corporate sector and who want to join the corporate sector can gain some inspiration?
Absolutely, yes. The uh, main difference between when you are in practice, you work under a senior who's also a lawyer who understands the legal implications, the problems that you face in court. But in the corporate sector, it's different. You are taking instructions mostly from a non-lawyer, but who are experts in their fields, and they have earned that position definitely. So you have to respect that. For example, if I may recall, I had superiors. Uh, if I may say so, it is they are very, very, very humble about it. They just had A levels, A level qualifications. Just after A levels, they have joined. But what I've realized is that those are the people who are sort of balanced in life. They have done their sports, they have gone through their other extracurricular activities, just missed the university and the qualifications by a 1 or 2 marks, but they were very, very intelligent and very, very savvy, and there was a lot to learn from them. So what you have to realize is that when you're working for an organization, you need to understand the basic operations or the main objectives of the organization, and basically try to align to that. Well, given the differences between a general counsel of a corporate and a lawyer practicing in a chamber, basically the lawyer is always averse to risk, and the lawyer is indicating what are the risks are. This should not be done. So it should not be the case in the corporate sector. you have to analyze the problem. Basically, okay, if there are risks, you tell them what the risks are, but your job is to give a solution, because that is the objective of the organization. Just present a solution, get the job done, and so that is where we have to make a difference being corporate lawyers in the Sri Lankan corporate sector. Uh, and but having said that, my career was a little different, and I joined the general banking sector. And the days behind the counter were very few, about 3 days, being a management training. But that is just to get accustomed to what goes behind the counter. Thereafter, you are given responsibilities, you are moved away, and you are given certain degree of responsibility, like signing powers. And then I moved to credit. Credit is in a bank where you analyze loan, the intricacies of giving a loan, the viability of a business. You need to understand everything. Basically, you have to be in the banking sector, you have to be a generalist to understand what is the operation of a, you say, roadside boutique, and versus a the large printing organization. So I remember doing loans for simple roadside boutiques, and then the large printers. So that way I moved on, and then in the banking sector, if I may say so, lawyer is not a first class citizen in the Sri Lankan context. Uh, so I actually did not want to be a legal officer in a bank personally. So I moved to other areas of banking, and there was an opening at a place called Treasury. The Treasury is where the bank's funds are managed, and it is a centralized operation. So I was, in most of my career, I worked as a dealer, a trader. I traded in foreign exchange, money market, mostly, the government bonds, and so that way I rose to the rank, and then there was opening at the FCC Bank, so I joined as a dealer, and for a large part of my career at the FCC also I worked as a dealer, and from for the last 11 or so years, I there was an opening at legal, so I was asked whether I would like to take the plunge, so I did take it, and never regretted. And you know, in your career in banking, being a lawyer or any other corporate sector for that matter, the lawyer in you shows, and there are opportunities to show your abilities. And if I may recall, at my commercial banking career, when I started at commercial bank, there was a project called RTGS project, where I was assigned to that project. That is where you transfer money, or instantaneously now. So that was introduced in 2003. So I was assigned to that steering committee, and there were a lot of agreements to complete. So I was able to show my colors there. And then again at the FCC, it's a different organization. At that time, there were a lot of bilateral agencies working with the FCC Bank, funding the bank. Basically, then there were opportunities to get used to these international agreements and vet those agreements. So we did it in house, and then comes other corporate agreements and things like that. Basically the rights issues, or the debenture issues, where you learn all these the codes and bylaws and all those things. And then so there was a lot of opportunity for me to show my abilities as a lawyer, uh, being a general banker. So maybe that may be the reason that why I was asked to take up this position as the litigation, head the unit of litigation and legal recoveries. So again, it has been a very active period of my life, the last the decade, more than 1 decade. And so my capacity in the bank, I am a lawyer, basically. I am a instructing attorney. Uh, then, well, it is again back to lawyer's life. But in the corporate sector, that the juniors or the young lawyers may need to understand is that you have to be very disciplined. very, very disciplined. You had to get used to the routine. Now, for example, port vacation is not a vacation for us, and but you get bank holidays, by the way. But port vacation also you have to work, and and you have to be on call for emergencies. So you have to be a very disciplined person, and it is not only the professional ethics that guide you in a bank. There are a lot of other codes and compliance requirements and reporting requirements. So you have to be you know be comfortable with it. So that is where I think that the corporate sector, the banking sector, uh, welcomes young lawyers and ability to rise in rank. One other point I wanted to mention is that basically you should be able to give a direct answer and for a direct solution rather than a two-handed opinion, because it is the organization's objective that matters most. So you have to give your opinion aligned with that particular problem in hand, because the rest of the business wants to go ahead with the transaction. You can't block it. So you have to tell the pros and cons, but still able to facilitate legally how best to handle whatever the legal risk that you may foresee. So that is, I think those abilities would have helped me to come to this position. Uh, so there I am.
Sure, sir. And now you also mentioned that in addition to being an attorney at law, you also have uh, obtained certain postgraduate qualifications and certain trainings. So, my next question, I think we have discussed this before in many of our webinars. From your perspective, sir, um, do you think having additional qualifications, let's say in marketing or accountancy or whatever the field may be, would it be extremely helpful when a person joins the corporate sector, or will he be all right, or will he be able to manage, working in the corporate sector with only a LLB or attorneys at law?
I think it is extremely important that you gather many qualifications as possible. Corporate sector, basically organization funds your education in most of the corporates, and you should avail that opportunity uh, as much as possible. Uh, in addition to the basic qualifications that you may be able to display after your name, uh, the organizations will train you in certain aspects, and those are basically expensive training. You are sent overseas and given training in basically in leadership. Leadership training matters a lot. I know, for example, if you may try to find out these executive training programs done by the Harvard Business School and all, those are very expensive. uh, Not necessarily Harvard Business School, but still there are similar programs that you have to go through. So you are sharpened every day, more or less. And on the job learning is another aspect of it. Coming back to your question, it is very important being a young lawyer to gather other qualifications. If you are, even if you are being the practice, uh, for example, I know many lawyers who have accountancy qualifications, and that absolutely helps them in their understanding of the problem that they are trying to resolve for the client. And there are other qualifications. For example, I have seen some doctors, few doctors, who have attorneys after their name, the medical professionals. And well, it is not limited. Nowadays they call it, the phrase is the academic inflation. So more you gather, right? I mean, it helps you. So simple one qualification is not valuable enough. It's like currency. Gather as much as possible, because this is the time that you are able to learn and gather qualifications. So gather all the qualifications that you can, but not in a disorganized manner. Just focus where you need improvement. And when you join the corporate sector, of course, the corporate that you're working for, uh, especially banks, will help you with funding to get that qualification. So that is another good aspect, being in a institution like a bank, where you are facilitated with that. And that is apart from the training that you get from training programs, the interim training programs that you have been sent to, especially not necessarily on limited to the area that you are working for, basically on etiquette as well. you know those programs, you are being trained every day. So that is another good aspect of being employed in the corporate sector.
Certainly. And before I move on to the next question, I would like to encourage all the participants to post any question you have to Mr. Tejaga Pereira on the Q&A box. And I also should apologize for my voice. I'm not in the best of my health. And my next question to you, sir, is now a lot of people are talking about job security, and now there also talks about AI taking over jobs in different sectors. And also, we see at the same time that the corporate sector is being drowned with a lot of regulations, more and more laws, more and more regulations, more and more court cases, more and more responsibilities are being discussed in the corporate sector. That requires a lot of legal expertise and knowledge. So, in your prediction, in the near future, will there be a better demand for legal professionals in the corporate sector, or will that demand go down? What is your prediction for the next few years?
My first, I will say it will not eat into the legal profession as fast as it has eaten to the software coding profession. So we are safe for a while. But having said that, I you can't be uh, complacent about it. You have to be cognizant of the changes that are taking place around you, and that is where the main difference between a lawyer and a general. I mean, speaking about the banking sector, the general banker were, because the general bankers were helped with computing. About 4 decades ago, they moved from the paper ledgers to the computers, and things moved very fast after that. And the legal profession could not move because there was no computer that was able to simply analyze a problem and reduce that into writing. So that is where the problem was. Now the AI has taken uh, over certain responsibilities, whereas you can get a draft contract when you give the problem through ChatGPT or any other platforms. But then again, you need a human to understand that particular problem that is in your hand right now, and the tweak that particular contract to suit the uh, problem at hand. So still the lawyers are needed. I mean, the human lawyers are needed. And again, dwelling into some part of your question again, how the regulations took over. uh, I think most of the regulations started changing from the 9/11 attacks and the terrorist financing. AML regulations came, and it took the world by storm, and a lot of changes took place. New positions were created. For example, lawyer joining a bank, uh, not necessarily like myself joined any other department, but also there are specific positions created best suited for lawyers, such as the compliance officer of a bank. So that is where another field that was created. Then came the financial crisis, 2008 and 9. Then that imposed a lot of capital regulations and different accounting responsibilities on the bank. So again, regulation after regulation. Uh, well, we had no choice in Sri Lanka but to adopt because it was necessary, and it is a very very regulated environment, the bank, and listed companies also for that matter. Next to banks, they have certain responsibilities among them, and then comes the other corporates. Well, still you are regulated to an extent. So it is important that a human is there to analyze. I don't think that the AI has developed to the extent where it can self-analyze the problem and give a solution. So for a while, we are safe. That's what I think. But still, can't be complacent. You have to develop with the tools. For example, not knowing how to use ChatGPT and prompts and things like that will be a disadvantage. You need to move with the technology. So I hope I answered.
Certainly, sir. And now I would like to move on to a different angle of the corporate sector. Now, you have worked both in, you have also worked in the private bar for a short time. So, in your view, when you compare the life of a lawyer and opportunities available for a lawyer in the private bar as opposed to a lawyer in the corporate sector, how do you analyze this difference?
Uh, uh, well, I was in the private bar for a very short period, but nevertheless, uh, the first few years for a lawyer in the private bar is very difficult. And but if you move into the corporate sector, it will be easy. More or less, you will be better off, uh, and you are looked after. Again, you have to be disciplined in the corporate sector. You have to come to work every day. It's a 9 to 5, and maybe after 5 o'clock also you have to work. In a chamber also you have to work sometimes. Uh, Late hours and all that, but still the opportunities in terms of education, learning, and uh, the learning about the different aspects of business. I'm not limiting my conversation to banking, but so that is also a very good opportunity for a young lawyer. You know, you are not disqualified being a corporate lawyer to join the bar later. So that is your safety net. So if you want to join, I mean, corporates would welcome you. Don't limit your aspiration only at the legal department. Just apply. That's where the other qualifications are, important. Just apart from qualifications, I should say that soft skills matter a lot in the private sector. Your IQ, more than the IQ, it's the EQ that matters. You should be able to read people, analyze people, and adapt to the situation. So basically it's the adaptation, Darwin's theory. The You have to move within the organization, but then again I need to tell you what determines your survival. I say survival, not rise. Basically in the corporate sector is your performance. You have to deliver what is being asked from you. So that is where you can aspire to uh, rise through the uh, climb the ladder in the hierarchy. So that is one point. But then again, versus the other, uh, private bar uh, gives you a good training, and I know very uh, little percentage of us can become, the legal luminary that we see on day-to-day in-house job and other courts. Uh, but you can become not necessarily the stars in the profession, but still you can become a recognized person, a person who's recognized on the street that this is the man who has done this. This is the guy who has written this article. This is the man who's or the lady who's heading that particular unit. So that is where it is important. I mean, I would advise lawyers to seek other opportunities always, because the bar is getting crowded, and so there's a stiff competition, and well, look around you, and there are many opportunities available. Not necessarily being the lawyer, but you can contribute to that particular profession, being a lawyer, uh, a compliance officer's position, for example.
Certainly, sir. And also, just to extend another question on the same premise, um, now a lot of lawyers have this. Now there is a discussion about work-life balance, and recently a lot of people have also raised concerns about the mental health because so many people are working non-stop without paying attention to their families, without paying attention to their mental health, without paying attention to their physical health, without paying attention to their, you know, free time, so on and so forth. And this has become a problematic issue, not only in the legal sphere, but in every sphere we know of. Now, when you compare the legal practice, the private bar, in comparison to the corporate sector, do you agree or do you propose that the corporate sector has a better work-life balance, especially for ladies, when it comes to their working environment?
Um, yes, I would like to agree with that comment, because corporates are regulated, and the regulations sometimes, for example, let's look at the Shop and Office Act itself, and coming from that, uh, the other benefits that associated with ladies, and if I may dwell into the maternity benefits, and the healthcare benefits that you get from a corporate. So those things are there, and I don't think you can find that. You can't expect that from a uh, chamber of a lawyer or maybe a law firm. Some of the law firms may provide that, but still there are a lot of regulations, rules, and there are policies which governs the work-life balance of specifically to that question, ladies. uh, so it is a good choice. Then again, the other aspects that I mentioned will take precedence, where if you need to rise uh, through the ranks and climb the ladder, you need to perform, and you need to have that ability. I told you about that, giving a direct answer to a question and facilitate the problem and solve the problem. Still they want to go ahead with that transactions, how to advise them how to go about it. That particular ability to put your chest forward and say that, okay, I'll stand by this organization if this goes wrong, right? If these are the things that you need to be worried about, but still we will resolve it in this manner. For example, if you say that, that is what is expected from you being a corporate lawyer. Not necessarily to show that, okay, this cannot be done legally. Of course, you have to do it legally, but still, how to manage the legal risk. That ability need to be there. Again, about the work-life balance, yes, there are a lot of policies that govern uh, the welfare, or the ensure the welfare of the ladies and their ability to have a good work-life balance. Uh, then I know some organizations, they go to the extent of providing the early child care facilities as well, and so there are good organizations. I mean, ladies, it's a very good environment, I would say. But again, I do not want to discourage the gentlemen as well. I mean, that is a again, when you are working in a disciplined environment where you are expected to be at work, during certain period of time. Then again, you are given leave, for necessities, and you are looked after, in the healthcare benefits and things like that. So those are there. And then again, another aspect I see is that when you're working for a large organization, still that is a community that you work with. So you develop that friendship, uh, the get to know each other, right? So that is another aspect that you need to have, that being in a community, and uh, again, in the name of the organization. So that is another point that I want to mention about the work-life balance. So they have their own welfare, the games, and annual vacations and things like that. uh, uh, but still, I need to tell you that certain hours of your day you are expected to be at work, and so you need to be disciplined there. But I do not say that work-life balance is not there. Uh, I can't comment too much about the chambers, but from a little that I know, uh, in the practice that certain hours of the day you might get a downtime, after your cases are over and then until your consultations start. So that downtime is not there in the corporate sector. So that is where you need to learn the difference.
Certainly, sir. And also, just a extension from that. Now, there is also the possibility of gaining international exposure and international experiences when you're working for a company, especially a company which has contracts and agreements with overseas companies. And also, there are branches of multinational companies in Sri Lanka where a lawyer would be expected to, coordinate and negotiate with other branches of that multinational company. So, could you also comment about this aspect of getting international exposure for a young lawyer, how that would be helpful in their in them climbing up the career ladder? That's part one of the question. And as the second part of the question, I would also like to bring out the fact that a lot of young lawyers also are looking forward to migrate, maybe out of maybe to Australia, Dubai, or the US, so on and so forth. So, how easy would it be when you're working in these multinational companies or a company which gives you international exposure for you to migrate abroad?
The question of migration, I'll start from there. That means, would you expect to be a lawyer in that particular country that you migrate, or do you like to work in a different profession? The number one question that you need to determine, because it is a regulated profession, whichever the country it is, you need to go through those regulations and do the bar exams or the solicitors there. And from little that I know, I think the bar or the legal profession in especially in the developed world is strictly regulated. It is you don't have the liberties that you have in Sri Lanka. For example, your license need to be renewed every year, and there are compliance requirements, and then you are being audited, and there are spot audits, and the bar council might all of a sudden, without announcing, visit your chamber to do an inspection. So those things happen. So you need to know the difference uh, in being a very good regulated environment. And so being in a regulated environment in a corporate world will certainly prepare you personally for that, apart from other the aspects that you need to become a good legal professional in a different country. And apart from that, other side of the question is that working for a MNC or a bank, and you gather all these qualifications, exposure, and your the basically the LinkedIn profile grows, and basically you will be recognized instantly. So it is easy to get yourself settled down in a different country, having worked in a corporate environment. And it is more so in a MNC, and well, to an extent in a bank. So it is a good bank. Then comes to the other part of the question, that exposure that you get working for different transactions. Absolutely yes. I mean, I have seen but interestingly, I have seen, I had the good fortune to work with certain bilateral lending agencies when I was at DFCC, like, in the likes of European Investment Bank, FMO of Netherlands, KfW of Germany. So you get to know them, the professionals there, you get to work with them, and you see the agreement formats, and the simplified English formats, and also the very simple formats that you have. Then you have complex legal structures or the documentation structures when you are in a treasury environment, the financing, the finance industry, that is the financial markets. You have different documentation strategies, master agreements, and you get to know how these things are working, right? So that will add another laurel on your head, where you will be able to you are recognized in an overseas environment. For example, that qualification that I hold on the ACI dealing certificate is something like that. And I would encourage lawyers to do. I mean, you can't do ACI dealing certificate if you are uh, in the practice, but you can certainly do, the accountancy qualifications. Then you have the finance qualifications like CFA and the marketing. All those things will undoubtedly help you if you are hoping to migrate. But personally, I would like our young talent to stay in Sri Lanka and they serve the country as much as possible. Uh, so that is my answer to that question.
Certainly, sir. And I think in our discussion which we had before this session, you expressed that lawyers need to come more and more into the corporate sector. There are lawyers in the corporate sector. There are lawyers in the executive boards. There are lawyers holding managerial positions. But you mentioned that it's not enough. Why would you say that it's not enough, and why do you propose that lawyers should dominate, in your own words, that lawyers
Yeah,
should dominate the corporate sector?
yeah. What I said was it is being dominated currently by the accountants. So the accounting profession uh, has established itself so well that if you look across the corporates, not necessarily banks, that most of the CEOs are have accounting qualifications, right? And these some of them may have law qualifications. What I've observed is in banks mainly, the non-executive roles are given to lawyers and sometimes the judges, the chairmanship and the board directorship, but still very few lawyers have held uh, uh, chief executive leadership. That is the chief executive officer's position or the corporate management position, apart from the head of legal. Uh, Very few I have seen. That is where lawyers need to come up in Sri Lanka, the accept the challenge and grow through that, aspire to be the leader in that particular organization. What I've seen is that in USA, for example, at one time the Citibank had the chief executive officer who was their general counsel, right, earlier. So I have not seen that happening in Sri Lanka. So that is where I think you need to develop that ability to understand the organizational needs and the business, more or less, and be good at the particular business that the organization is doing. So that is where the young lawyer can come into the corporate sector, learn the business, and grow within the business, and giving solution to the business from a business point of view, as well as from a legal point of view, analyzing legal risk. But that is where you need to think differently, especially the young lawyers who come into the the corporate sector. Mm, And having said that, again, I have noticed that having worked with different international organizations, their legal officer, the lawyer, is well respected, and by the other executives in that particular organization. For example, I have seen European Investment Bank where the lawyer was very well, highly respected by the general lending, uh, the colleagues of theirs, and that is where we need to think differently. That's where I think we need to uh, give a direct solution to the problem that in hand. Again, I'm reiterating that issue because you should be able to give a direct solution, taking the responsibility for your answer and be accountable for your answer. So that is where you need to develop yourself, the Sri Lankan corporate lawyers. So that's what I tell my new recruits as well. You can't say this cannot be done, but still find a way and tell me what are the pros and cons, and let's present it to the management.
Certainly. And being from a very high position in the corporate sector, what, let's say, what kind of tips or what kind of uh, advisors can you give the young lawyer who is about to join the corporate sector tomorrow? Is there any specific things that he or she should have in the corporate sector, which will drastically improve his or her work in the corporate sector?
Uh, I told you, apart from your paper qualifications, have this the the uh, topic of emotional quotient, the EQ, how to deal with people. So for example, if you ask a question from a person who or a new recruit that is joining the bank or a new department, what would you do in your first 5 days in the organization? The right answer is get to know the people around you and how to get their help, and how to support them, and know the people in and out. You have different characters meeting you every day, so you should be able to recognize their traits and aspirations and basically expectations. So read people, and again, your social skills, that matters a lot. Now during our days we did not have that much of a developed internet. Now you have everything at your fingertips, so much of learning material. You need to know any courses or programs on that, but still, there are a lot of areas where you can learn how to be with people, how to work in a team. So those aspects, and again, your personal skills, how to present yourself better, how to present yourself confidently, and the first thing is nice CV. First, you can get it done through ChatGPT now. Uh, so you have to live up to your CV once you are faced with an interview. They look at you, to penetrate you, and you can see the things in between. So you should be able to convince the interview panel, right? And you are the right candidate, and present yourself very well. Then again, once you are recruited, you have to live up to that image that you have created, and that is your performance. Then comes the performance. Should be able to commit to your job. You are being given targets, expectations, key performance indicators. So you have to perform, and always managing people. So that is very important aspect that you need to develop for any
Certainly, sir.
country, whether in Sri Lanka or any other country, for example.
Certainly, sir. And also, this is something I hear from many seniors in the corporate sector, that in addition to having your paper qualifications, and in addition to having your legal qualifications, a lot of young people actually lack soft skills. That is starting off with the simple task of creating a proper comprehensive CV, then how to face an interview, how to do a presentation, how to speak in a public gallery, things like that. And I think this has become a huge problem in the corporate sector, where a lot of young people, they could be very talented, they could be very qualified, but because of these shortcomings in their soft skills, sometimes they can be marked down. What is your opinion on this matter, sir?
I agree with you 100% on this. And uh, one need not be complacent. Being young lawyers, you have ample time on your hand. Just look at the resources that are available online, and get the opportunities. Not on be practicing online is not good enough. There are other opportunities. Basically, it starts from the school days. You have many clubs and societies that you can take part in, the gavel clubs and other social welfare clubs, like the Interact, and join them and take all opportunities at local age. Join the mood society if you have a mood society now functioning. And I need to allude some of my experiences. I am a judge in mood courts in Law Asia, and I have been very impressed with the talent that I see. Especially, I met a Chinese team from University of Shanghai, and they had the Oxford accent. So I asked them, "Have you been to England?" And no, they have trained in China, right? So that is where you need to. That is where the challenge is coming from globally. And again, uh, if you get a person with similar qualifications, maybe with high intelligence, than the other who has high social skills, the one with the high social skills will get chosen. And little that you know, you should be able to display. For example, you have to work hard, and you should be able to express what you have done. So, and your ability to and show confidence that you are able to deliver. So those are the aspects that you need to have. So there are plenty of opportunities available. I wish Bar Association will do some more programs for them in that manner for the young lawyers to develop their soft skills. There are resources available all over you, all around you. Sorry, all around you, and just use those. And you are very correct in saying that if you have a person with high intelligence and good qualifications, and may be able to deliver better than the other, but still the other person has better social skills, he will get chosen naturally.
Certainly, sir. And as you mentioned, I think Sri Lanka Law College, as well as the law faculties of different universities, do provide mooting facilities. And the Bar Association also has started a new program where the soft skills would be developed of the young lawyers, the apprentices. And I think that will be very helpful, whether they join the
Absolutely.
corporate sector or the private bar. So, with that, we come to the conclusion of today's discussion, sir. And we would like to thank you for taking time off your busy schedule. These are court vacation, but I don't think that applies to the corporate sector. But thank you for taking time off a Saturday evening to be with us. And I'm sure this program will be available on YouTube for anyone to peruse in the future. So this will be certainly helpful for young lawyers, apprentices, and law students who would like to develop their career and get into the corporate sector.
Thank you for the opportunity. Always would like to help the Bar Association whenever it is
Certainly.
your
Thank you, sir.
call. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shahara. This brings us to the end of episode 8 of the webinar series on why corporate sector. I would like to extend our utmost appreciation to our esteemed guest, Mr. Tejaka Pereira, and the interviewer for this evening, Mr. Shahara Herat, for this fruitful and educational discussion and for the dedication of your time and effort to be here with us and sharing your insights. I would also like to thank the BSL Webinars and Legal Symposiums Committee for their dedication and hard work in organizing this insightful webinar. And last but not least, I would like to thank all of you who have joined in for this session today through various platforms. Thank you and good night.